Call, please.
Bill Dixon,
Present.
John Stroud, Lisa Onan, Tim Skinner,
Here.
Alan Taylor.
Here. You should, each board member should have received an email with the minutes from our last meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes as submitted by email.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any question? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Unanimously approved. All right, under old business, appeal number 0324 on Jamestown Drive. Do we have Nancy, Jeff who are here? Do we have
From
any?
Steve, maybe?
Do we have a report from Steve? Whoever wants to speak first.
We did visit the property this afternoon, and you have a photo of the damaged area of the roof, as it currently is. Doesn't look like any repairs have been made to that area. Tarp has been placed on the roof to prevent further damage or moisture intrusion.
Okay. Nancy, would you or Jeff like to speak?
Absolutely.
Please come up to the podium there since it's a public meeting. I need to swear you in.
And I'll speak because my husband's patience level is not good.
Okay, do you swear that you'll testify to the best of your knowledge, all the things that you're going to tell us are factual or to your knowledge?
I do.
All right.
Okay, it's true there has been no repair done to this portion of the house, but if you had, and I meant to bring pictures tonight, I'm sorry, I gave them to my insurance company. The deck that was damaged by the tree, which was probably 75 or 80%? Probably 75 or 80% damaged, demolished, and it was in a pile of wood on the ground, and our patio furniture was under it and everything. All of that has been removed, and the rest of the deck has been taken down. So there is nothing standing there where it was at one time, and all of that is gone.
Where are we on the contractor's repair of the roof? We were waiting, last month, we were waiting on him to get pricing on his materials for the repair. Where are we now?
Okay, he still has not gotten those prices to me. He's got another job he's working on, but he's trying to meet with me this week. Unfortunately, we could not meet with him last week. My sister had open heart surgery as an emergency, and so I spent a lot of time at Gateway Hospital with her. But he wants to meet with us this week and give us an estimate of the prices. And we're going to talk first about getting the electricity back on, getting the weatherhead and the lost it. Well, anyway, getting that replaced and repaired so that it can be inspected and electricity can go back on.
Here's my question, Nancy. Just my curiosity. What kind of contractor is this? This has been months. Is this fellow legitimate?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But he has, and I hate to say this, he has a big dollar job that he's trying to complete too, besides ours. And he also has another business. that
Does he
does.
realize that you are in violation of
Yes.
ordinances, then
Yeah.
that fines have been levied, and so
And I'm sure he does because last month when I was here, y'all spoke about letting my insurance agent be aware of that as well as the contractor, and y'all were going to send them notification, and I feel certain that y'all probably did. I haven't asked either one of them, but I feel certain that you probably did. And so he's supposed to meet with us this week, and hopefully that's going to be Wednesday, I hope. My husband has 3 doctor's appointments tomorrow, so we couldn't do it tomorrow. But hopefully it's going to be. But like I said, all the debris that was on the ground is gone, all of that. And I gave those pictures to my insurance agent so he could forward them to the home office.
questions from the board?
Nancy, have you been in the house?
Yes,
You know, I think one of the concerns that we have is there's been water going into your house now for, this was in September of 2022, correct?
Yeah, but it's been tarped several times.
Right. And so you've had no electricity since that time?
No, because it ripped the wires off of the pole.
Sure. Oh, are you seeing evidence of mold or mildew in the house?
It may be in the walls, I don't know. Daniel, our contractor, said that he wouldn't know, until he get in there and get some things torn out and stuff. We do have 3 doors that are gonna have to be replaced because they were broken out, the glasses were broken out. But they're outside doors, so it didn't break inside doors. So at least that prevented water from going in that way. So,
I think one of the things that we're concerned with is not just the complaints from the neighbors, but the condition of the house going forward, and the longer you've been in this home, and water intrusion over 2 winter periods, even though it's been tarred from time to time.
well, and our water is cut off at the meter too, so there's, no water in the house.
I have a
Yeah.
question for Steve. You may or may not be qualified to answer this. The roof damage doesn't seem to me like a big job, construction-wise. Tim, you help me out here. It looks like to me a day's worth of work, that could be fixed. Am I off base on my assumption?
Can I interject before you do? Unless you want to go ahead.
No, it's fine.
The first contractor that I spoke with, who was going to do this job for me and was going to have it done within 6 months, he told me that the support beams, the gable ends, and the trusses on that end were broken, and they would have to be replaced. So it's not just a matter of putting new roofing on it.
Okay, I understand.
It has other structural damage that's gonna have to be
But it's not
redone.
it's not the entire roof, it's just this end of the dwelling. And I'm not in the construction business, so I can't make a,
Well, I've said, I don't know that, but that's what I was told by another contractor. I also was told that we need to have the foundation checked for structural damage. Because of the weight and size of the tree, that the foundation could have structural damage to it. And if it does, then our house cannot be repaired. Now, is that correct?
Anything can be repaired with enough money.
Well, yeah, but when you're messing with insurance, honey, they're not gonna part with any more than they have to. And they're not real happy right now because of the kind of coverage we have, which is better than most. So they're really, they're trying to be as greedy as they can, or as thrifty with their money, because they haven't given us something called ALE money, which is advanced living expense money. So they haven't paid us anything, and we have submitted claims to them for our rent and all that, and so they haven't paid us any of that either, so.
I can appreciate your issues, but our board has a responsibility, because this thing's been in violation now for almost 2 years. And nothing really, other than your deck removal, has been done.
Nancy, what I don't understand is, now you're saying that the trusses, they won't replace the trusses, they'll just go back and fix them. I mean, they'll go back and stick frame it up in there to do that. And now, and I can't imagine if a tree fell on that house hard enough to damage any kind of foundation, it would have demolished the whole side of the house. It's not gonna drive it down. Now, if there was some block damage or something, what you're telling me though is something that they're like, well, we don't know. But I don't know why somebody couldn't know right now. I mean, they could just go in there and crawl under the house and look and see if there's foundation damage, if the block is damaged. It didn't crack the footings, but that is damaged. The mold issue is a definite issue, because if you don't have the temperature control in the house where it's dehumidifying and things like that, even if you're not getting rainwater in it now, if the walls got wet and the drywall got wet and everything, and now it's dark and it's damp and you get hot, humid days and this, you got a very strong potential of getting mold inside that house. So it's like you said, your contractor don't know until he gets his search tearing it out. Well, I don't know why somebody didn't go in there and tear some sheet of drywall out and just look behind it. That's not gonna take very much.
Well,
It's
like
not
I
gonna take long to do, anybody to do that.
Like I said, the first contractor that I spoke with, he's the one that told me about the gable ends and the support beams and the trusses. And I don't know, I mean,
It's just a matter of somebody getting on a ladder, climbing up in the attic and sticking their head up there and looking. It's
You know,
not, they're
I
not gonna
have an
take the house
accounting, I
apart
have
and
an accounting
determine it.
degree, I don't have a degree in
Well, somebody's gonna have to do
engineering
it.
or architect, you know.
Yeah, I know, but you're gonna have to find another contractor or do some, or get something. I don't understand, I mean, it's just taking so long, and what they're telling you, it sounds like to me, the guy that you're getting a price from, I may be wrong, but it sounds like to me that the person you're getting a price from is telling you, I'm gonna meet with you and give you this price, but I still don't know what I'm getting into. Because he said, I don't know until I take the sheetrock off, how he's gonna estimate it, and I don't know until I look above the ceiling, well, I mean, a guy could go in there and have a lot better feel for what's going on than what it sounds like they do.
Well, as far as the tree falling on the house, the person who took the tree off the house told us that had the tree fallen at a different angle, it would have gone through the dining room windows and come out the living room. And he said it was that, the impact was that large. And the neighbors next to me said that it was like an earthquake hit the house when it hit. And they thought somebody actually had driven through the front of our house, because he said that, you know, things, and I probably, I mean, we weren't home because my husband was in the hospital, and I feel sure that's correct, because I had stuff came out of cabinets, stuff came off of shelves, stuff was on the floor, where, you know, where it just, like an earthquake would.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel certain that that probably was a correct statement, that it was like an earthquake. Like I said,
don't
we're
doubt
supposed
that.
to,
It would have done that if it hit the ground beside the house as big as that tree
Yeah.
was.
yeah, well, if it
Just
hadn't,
shook the
if it
house.
hadn't fallen like it did, you know, but like I said, we're supposed to meet with him this week.
What's the recommendation from the city?
Well, you know, what we always say is, you know, we're not seeking penalties, we're seeking compliance, but I had Teresa verify that we've been here since,
It was supposed to be March, but Ms. Warren was sick, so her first actual hearing was, I mean, it's supposed to be January, but the first was actually
was
March.
March. So we've been here since March, coming each month to talk about this.
Hey, this is your third trip, right, Nancy? Three
I
months?
believe this is, I had
March,
strep, I had
April,
strep
May,
throat the
June,
first time.
Yeah.
Four.
Yeah.
This is four.
Okay,
Fourth time we've been here. I think.
okay.
We did get the house tarped, and we got some cleanup in the backyard, but we're really no closer than we were in March to getting the repairs done, other than fixing up. So the longer this goes, the more potential it is, we're looking at condemnation if the, and, you know, Tim can probably talk to it more. We're really concerned about the mold and the damage, the interior damage. You know, we can kick the can down another month, but, you know,
Well, I
at
felt,
some point, we're gonna have to do something.
I felt like with the sufficient, the work that has been done, if you had seen the trailer loads,
Well, now wait a
They
minute.
took off.
The code violation was only specified for the roof.
yeah.
Now, the fact that you've got a contractor that's cleaned up your deck and done all that's great, but the code violation is the roof. And nothing in 2 years has been done with the roof. I understand all the complications and the medical issues and the delays that you've encountered, but I don't know what kind of contractors you're dealing with, but for a roof to not be repaired by a contractor or some contractor in a 2-year period is ridiculous.
Well, of course, you know, I didn't have a real contractor until the first of this year, because everybody kept giving me a runaround, you know. They would say they would come out, and like I said, the first person that I contracted with is a reputable person here in town, and he was gonna do it. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't gonna do it. And I spoke with him probably within the last month or 6 weeks and checked with, and he just told me he was just covered up. He just could not take
But do
it.
you
Nancy,
re-
have you been back in the house?
Yeah, I was in there, yesterday.
July 23rd.
do you realize the financial consequences of a condemnation? Basically, you're losing your house.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Has the city, have we done an interior inspection?
No, we're not allowed to do one unless she agrees to it.
That's what, please?
We're not allowed to do an interior inspection at this point unless she agrees to it. But this is for roof damage. I just talked to Steve. Steve says that this will have to have a building permit because of the amount of work that'll be done. Some roofing doesn't require.
Right.
Because this would. So it'd be my recommendation to this board that we come back on the 22nd, that if a building permit is not issued for that work, that she'd be required to come back and give us an update. But if a building permit is not issued by that point, that we start daily fines. And, I do that I request that very rarely.
I understand.
But, and that we have Dobby begin at that point on July 22nd to start writing this up daily. But we've been here since March. We're no closer to getting this roof repaired than we were. We heard from the insurance company, they had a check. She had some issues with the insurance company, but she has a check, and her insurance agent said that if it's going to cost more money, all she has to do is submit those claims to travelers. So this would give her one more month to get under contract and a building permit issued.
Nancy?
Our thought.
Okay, can I interject something? First of all, would my contractor or myself be the one to get the building permit? Either of us, or should it be him?
Either can get it, but your contractor has to be listed on there.
That's
Okay.
registered.
He has to be a registered contractor in the city, is that correct?
That's right.
Do you understand what Dawn just laid out, Nancy?
Yes.
If you've been in a taxi, the farther you go in the taxi, the more the meter runs, the more costly it gets to make your trip. And basically, bottom line is, what she said is, at that point, the meter's gonna start ticking if something's not happening at the July 22nd meeting.
Well, and request that she come back to that meeting.
Right.
Even if a building permit is issued, so that we can see what the plan is and the contract, like to see the contract. Now, if she wants to allow us to come in and do an interior inspection to see if maybe it's not as bad as we
Hope it's not, yeah.
as we're concerned with, we can do that as well and report back to the board.
Even if we have a letter from your contractor saying, you all have agreed on the work that's being proposed, and this is gonna be the start date and all of that, we would certainly consider that. But, like I said, with 2 years now, and we're still sitting here as a board, charged with the responsibility to enforce the codes. It's been in violation for 2 years. We're looking bad, the city's looking bad, you're looking bad, because nothing's happened.
Nancy, so if I understand right, the weatherhead on the electrical is disconnected and the weatherhead's gone.
The weatherhead and the riser have to, I just thought of that. The
They all
weatherhead
have
and the
to be-
riser have to be replaced.
Is your HVAC system operational or did it get destroyed?
It's smashed in.
Okay, it's
So-
smashed, it's
yes,
gone too. So
yes.
you're gonna have to replace the HVAC system
Yes.
outside. And once you get power, you're gonna have to get that HVAC system. That's
Right.
all gonna have to go simultaneously, because what's gonna happen, even if they get the roof fixed, if that building does not have any kind of conditioning to it on the inside, you're eventually gonna end up with problems inside the house.
Oh, I understand that.
It's gonna get bad. And if the carpet got wet or any of that stuff, and you just can't let it sit there, and this is the worst time of year for it. And so it's not just like, well, we're gonna get the roof fixed and nothing else happens. At the same time, I mean, this gentleman needs to be getting HVAC replaced. If they ought to be replacing the unit out there now.
Electrician will have to be
And like-
involved.
And then, yeah, but they ought to be ordering that HVAC stuff, and they could be setting it and just not hooking it up.
Well, now, what Dawn said, back up a minute, she said that my agent, who was here 2 months ago, said that all we had to do was submit estimates or bills to an insurance company for reimbursement, but I hate to call them bad names, and I won't, but it's been like pulling teeth to get what little bit that we've gotten from them. You know, I mean, they sent us a letter and said, we're gonna pay X number of dollars and enclosed as a check. There was no check, and it took 6 months to get a check reissued from the time we got the letter. And he sent them emails all the time, and they acted like they had no idea what was going on. And the guy that I've spoken to at the home office in Connecticut is not very nice. And, you know, I mean, like I said, they haven't paid us anything. So everything that's been paid, except for what we paid the tree guy and what money's left over that, everything else has come out of our pockets.
Nancy, I sympathize with your circumstance, but as a board, if we make any exceptions for anybody, that we've set a precedent. Everybody that comes down the pike then is gonna say, well, my insurance company was giving me a hard time, so I can't comply with the code that I violated. So we can't go there, basically, for that reason.
Well, and I just want to point out, we subpoenaed Mr. Rayburn, and he testified to that under oath. This, you know, Nancy can tell us her experience, but we don't, the only thing that we have directly from
The
the
agent.
insurance is what the agent, which we never, you as a board have never subpoenaed any witness before we subpoenaed him. So he testified to that under oath. So, and we haven't seen any documents other than that on that.
Well, you know, they told me at the home office in Connecticut, when I called and kept asking about it, and the guy said, well, I haven't seen the report from the adjuster. And I said, well, he told me he'd have it to you within 10 days to 2 weeks when he left our house that day. And he said, well, I haven't seen it. And I kept calling. He didn't answer me. He didn't call me back. And finally, he said, oh, well, I found it on my desk. It must have got covered up with something or fell through the crack. And it took 6 months for me to get that answer out of him. And I know that's not y'all's fault and it's not your problem. But, you know, how can you deal with that when they're not paying
I can
us like they
sympathize
should
with
be?
you, but I have a responsibility, this board has a responsibility under the reason we were formed, and code enforcement is our job. And this code has been in violation for 2 years, and basically, nothing's been done.
Nancy, I think if you feel like you're being wrongly treated by the insurance company, the only action you have is legal recourse.
Absolutely.
You're gonna have to go to somebody, and that will probably get their attention, and then do that to get their attention, but we can't,
Someone
so.
told me, and I won't tell you who, but someone told me that I need to contact the Kentucky Department of Insurance. Gosh,
Probably they said bad faith division.
I don't know, but this person told me, and he would know. He told me I needed to contact the legal department, the Kentucky Division of Insurance, I believe, because when I told him what all had gone, and this person is a contractor, and when I told him what all had gone on, he just said that was ridiculous, you know, for the way that we're getting the runaround.
I understand your issue with your insurance people, but we've been waiting 60 days. This board's been waiting 60 days for this contractor to give us some information. This contractor has not responded. You have not submitted a proposal from him. We have no documentation from him. If you had $1 million in your hand, if you don't have a contractor that's going to respond, nothing's going to happen. And right now, for 60 days, we've seen nothing from this contractor.
If I had $1 million in my hand, we wouldn't be having this problem.
Well,
Nancy, I mean,
Because I wouldn't be fighting with insurance.
the issue is, I mean, our issue is getting it as a code issue, but you as the homeowner should really be worried about getting it done so there's not further damage to the
Well, I
house.
am.
And
Well,
condemnation.
You're gonna have to
You know, it's not
You're
like
gonna
I
have to get
enjoy living somewhere else when I have a home that's paid for that I
Well.
should be able to go to every day.
I'm gonna entertain a motion from the board to table action until our 22nd, July 22nd meeting. And at that time, we probably will move to accept the suggestion from the city on how to proceed. Is that?
I would like to say that at our next meeting, if the action hasn't been taken, I don't want to go through the discussion again. I just want to say, if the action hadn't been taken by that time,
You
it
get
just
to make a
automatically
motion.
just do that.
Well, if
Go ahead and
you-
make a motion. I need a motion.
Before the motion happens, can I suggest
Absolutely.
some clarity so Ms. Horn knows what to expect? In April, this was tabled for 1 month for Nancy to have a contract in hand with her contractor, as you specifically said. In May, the contractor was still waiting on prices of materials. There's a meeting expected this week between her and the contractor. I would say that Ms. Horn, when this is tabled, has to come back with that contract and with the permit. So that there is clear expectation of where we are in the next step. Because, yes, there's been progress made. I don't necessarily think that it's been substantial progress that we talked about last month, but there's been progress made. So just so she's clear, she knows exactly what has to happen before the board takes action next month.
So I'll entertain a motion with those two requirements in the motion then.
So moved.
Tim, did you make that motion?
Bill made the motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any question? In favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. So that's proved. We're on our way.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Do we have, I don't think we have any other old business to deal with here. Under the new business section, our code enforcement report. I know Dobby hadn't seen any weeds out there anywhere this month. No rain, nothing's growing. Obviously, I was being facetious. Go ahead, Steve.
We have, as far as citations that have been withdrawn, we have 14, and then uncontested citations, we have 54. We're currently working on removal of the properties that have been condemned. Hopefully get down quickly.
They look good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that the property that we talked about last month on Powell Street, that wall has been torn down.
Yes.
I don't know, I haven't been by there since then, but I don't know, I guess the lot is clean.
It's clear.
Okay.
They do have brick that they're selling on the
Really?
lot that is stacked on pallets. But they're selling it down the road.
Okay.
It's staying local.
Okay. Don, any report or anything news from you? All right. If there's no further business, this meeting stands adjourned. By the way.